Madre John, Ned, and Juanito sitting in the doorway of my tiny house on the edge of the Acamal Pueblo. It's not a great day. It's kind of overcast and quite windy. David, last night, my buddy, said there's a big tropical storm over Belize and we're catching the outside of that storm front, so it's windy. The theme yesterday of my day was, what's the appropriate way for an older man to relate to a younger woman, as if there was any one way? The answer is whatever that relationship is supposed to be, and every one of them is different. But I want to tell a story about one. Yesterday, my day started by interviewing a spectacular and super, super beautiful 31-year-old artist who is painting murals on the bridge leading to the beach. And I had just been embroiled in a whole conflict on the Playa del Carmen Facebook page. I won't get into all that, where they accused me of being a lecherous old man who only wanted to prey on young women who are probably gold diggers anyway, so they probably deserve it. Whoa, see that? Something flew over in there. So that's the kind of projection that goes on Facebook. But actually, what went on between me and Charlotte yesterday was gorgeous, and I'll put a link to that. But it brought up the whole theme of what's supposed to happen, what's the appropriate way to relate to a younger woman, which, as I say, is, well, whatever is right for her and you, and whatever's meant to happen in that relationship. There's no rules. But here's about me and Beth in upstate Western North Carolina. I started my travels 5 years ago in Western North Carolina. I was already roaming the mountains, the high mountains of Western North Carolina, in my camper van. That whole area, which has been savaged by the storms that came from Hurricane Helene. And most of the towns that I held dear in that year of roaming the mountains have either been destroyed or terribly set back, including Asheville itself, where I started. And it was in Asheville that I met Beth. I used to work at a wonderful Whole Foods style grocery store named Earth Fare. Well, I wasn't working there anymore, and I had moved out of Asheville, but I was back visiting. And the store was in the process. It was mostly shut down from the COVID, but it was functioning, but it wasn't functioning much. And the cafe there had been the heart of Asheville. It had been the place where everybody went to meet, but it was kind of decimated right then. But Beth was there with her father, who was like 55 and a cool guy, I thought at that point, very progressive white man, and her mother, who was like 60 and a really cool black woman, lead singer in a blues band, R&B Motown style band, way out in the boonies in Franklin, in an area southwest of Asheville, where I had never traveled, and my travels were all north of Asheville. But in that cafe, I had this amazing hour-long visit with that family, and I really was jamming with the mom and dad. We were having amazing conversations. They were in an interracial relationship. I have an interracial son. We were having fun. And the dad a couple of times said, we're building a compound. We're building a little community out there. You ought to come out, stay with us sometime. You'd like it. I knew he meant it. And twice in the course of that conversation, Beth, who was 36 and real cute, but kind of quiet, and it was the COVID. I was wearing a mask. I don't know if any of them. I don't think any of them were, but I was wearing a mask. And twice in the course of that conversation, Beth, who had not said anything, liked something I said so much that she came over and gave me a huge hug. And the first time she did it, I said, what are you doing? It's the COVID, babe. No, you don't hug a strange man. And she literally said, shut up and take your mask off. It was like, shut up and kiss me, basically. And then she did it again towards the end. Really big, scrumptious hugs. And I was like loving them, but I couldn't understand how this could even go on during the COVID. So the next day I was back up in Marshall. Marshall has been destroyed by the storms. Oh my God, the videos of the town just underwater because it's right along the French Broad River. It's going to try to come back, but boy, oh boy, it's going to have a hard time. But I was camping in a campsite right next to the French Broad River. I'm glad I wasn't there September 28th or whenever that happened. And I said to my dog Pancho, well, let's see. My plan today was to run up the river to the next little river town, which I'm not coming up with its name, but it got hit real hard too. That's a really fun town. But what about Beth? What about Beth? I'm talking to my Chihuahua because I didn't have anybody else to talk to. I was 4 years of roaming in a camper van with just a dog. And so I'm talking to Pancho and says, what about Beth? What was that all about with those 2 hugs? I got to go see Beth. I got to go check out what's the deal. What was the message she was sending me? And she was. When we talked the next day, she said, yeah, I knew when I gave you that second hug you'd come. I knew you had to come then. And that's what I wanted. I wanted you to come see me. So I drove a long ways. It was a 90-minute drive in the rain, I think, to go see Beth. And I got there and called along the way and said, I'm going to be a little late. And her dad, I guess her mom said, Beth is really excited to see you. Great. And we're all excited to see you. Then I got there and they were way different than I expected. What actually was going on in that family was super strange and not what I expected. They said, well, Beth, you don't know about Beth. She acted like she was excited, but she's liable not to show up at all, and you may not see her all weekend. I'm like, what? What's going on? Well, give me your email. Give me your phone number. I want to call her. No, we're not privileged to give that kind of information. If you want to send her a message, send it to me, and I'll pass it along. She's 36, man. What is this? And then the mom and dad went out to the store, and the stepbrother had been there at Earth Fair, and at first I thought he was Beth's boyfriend, but he's her stepbrother, and he's biracial himself. And he said, well, there's this whole thing going on between my dad and Beth. Dad wants the whole family to stay together for life. We're going to build a big compound out in the country, and we'll all live together forever. Beth wants to go to the beach. She wants to move. She's 36. She wants to break away from the family and go to Wilmington. And by the way, Beth is living down the road in our aunt's old house. And my dad is trying to fix it up. He's very handy, trying to fix it up to sell it. And he's in and out. Beth is trying to break away and trying to get some separate space. But Dad is in and out of there all day long, and he won't tell her when he's coming, or he just pops in. So she has no boundaries at all. No, she's trying to get separate, and he is fighting it tooth and nail. So I thought, oh, this is way too weird for me. Forget Beth and get away from these people because they're so strange. I had a big battle with the dad. I'm a smoker, and I wanted to smoke standing on the front steps where you could see everything. He wanted me to smoke on the back steps. Like, why? What difference does it make? But it was like super important to him. He was really mad that I wouldn't do that. So he was an amazingly controlling man. And it was right in the middle of the whole Britney Spears thing where the documentary came out about the way the dad had her put in a mental institution and took control of all of her affairs. And I thought, this is like that. This dad is like trying to control her life. And I actually that night I ended up staying in the camper van that night. I watched the Britney Spears documentary. I said, boom, that's what this toxic family is like. But I want out of here, and I'm not going to try to see Beth. The next day, I'm not going to give all the details. It's still kind of crazy. But I finally ran into Beth. I was halfway between their house and her house, and she was coming down the street with a drink in hand, half sloshed at 3 in the afternoon. And I said, well, your dad doesn't want me to see you. And she said, fuck him, basically. You come see me. We'll go back to my place. We'll have a good time. So we did. We did go back to her place. She was 35. And she was drunk. And I don't know how the two next bottles of wine disappeared. I sure didn't drink much. She mostly drank it. And then she brought out the marijuana, and I'm a one toke guy. Any more than that, and I get too high. So I had my one toke, and she hit it. And then and then she brought out the mushrooms, mushroom flowers. It was psilocybin in the form of little flowers, and we did that. But my little secret with that is I lost my teeth a long time ago. My false teeth, my dentures, fell out, and I was so much back to the country and nature, I didn't want to replace them. I always hated them. So I don't have any teeth. So I couldn't chew those little mushrooms, and I didn't get high. And Beth said, I don't dance. So early in the evening, as we were getting higher and higher, and I'm going, this could be quite a night. Oh, what a night. She says, there'll be no sex tonight. I said, okay, did I say something referring to sex? It's kind of strange that it came in out of the blue, but I said, okay, all right, that's the way it's going to be. There'll be no sex. But after the mushrooms, I was teaching her to dance. She said, I don't dance. And I know I can always teach people to dance. And within 15 minutes, we were doing the most amazing contact improv dance where we were sliding all over each other. And I was calling it the ooze dance because we were like one organism oozing all over each other. And then she said, I have to go to bed now. I have to work tomorrow. I'm going to bed. Okay, good. You're giving the most confusing signals I've ever seen in my life. But okay, good, go to bed. Then she came back and she wanted a hug. And we did a long, amazing hug. Okay, I'm going to bed. No, and she came back and took another long, juicy hug. And I said, well, maybe we could cuddle. We could lay on the sofa, the big sofa over there, and we could cuddle. Yeah, that's nice. No, I'm going to bed. Definitely, that's it. And something snapped in me, and I realized this is a girl who's trying to set limits on her father, my age, younger than me even. And here she is trying to set limits with me, a very confusing way of doing it, but support her limits. That's it. That's why she brought you here. Not to be lovers, but so that she could practice setting limits with an older man. Bingo. Good. Let's do that. Okay, Beth. Boom. Good night. I'm going to sleep on the sofa with my dog. I'll see you in the morning. And that's what happened. And it felt so satisfying. It felt so satisfying. I was horny and lonely, and I really had wanted to jump in, at least roll around on the sofa with her. But when I realized, no, that's why she brought you here. Well, so she could practice solid boundaries, and your job is to support it. And you do it, baby.